The ground beneath your feet is a lie, a fragile sheet of ice cracking over a terrifying bottomless void. You are suffocating inside your own spiritual tomb, but a chilling century-old prophecy holds an agonizing secret, one that will either drown you entirely or forge you into a god. Imagine waking up suspended over a bottomless void, only to realize that the solid ground you have walked upon your entire life was never real. Every moral imperative, every profound purpose, every comforting truth you were spoon-fed since childhood is nothing but a fragile sheet of ice floating adrift in a dark, endless ocean. You were told this ice was eternal, an absolute truth, the ultimate sanctuary of human existence. But suddenly, the blistering sun of relentless rationality and science rises, shining with a blinding, merciless glare. The ice beneath your feet violently cracks. The freezing, suffocating waters of absolute meaninglessness surge up to swallow you whole. You thrash, you gasp, and in a moment of pure, paralyzing terror, the realization sets in: the sole foundation keeping humanity from drowning is melting away. This is not some dystopian nightmare. It is the raw, unflinching psychological reality of our modern world. A collective panic we are all desperately trying to ignore. Before we dive deeper into this abyss, Myth Eryndor warmly welcomes you to our journey of philosophical unraveling. If you find yourself searching for light in the intellectual dark, please subscribe to our channel to support us and fuel our motivation to create more thought-provoking content for you in the future. As that iceberg of ultimate belief dissolves, we are left infected by the most terminal disease of our era, nihilism. When the ancient lighthouses of meaning are extinguished, we are left adrift in a deafeningly silent universe. Nihilism is far more dangerous than simple denial. It is a phantom that feasts upon the soul, whispering into our ears that every drop of sweat, every moral sacrifice, every agonizing sorrow, and every fleeting joy amounts to an absolute, uncompromising zero. It is a terrifying chasm. And how do we cope? We desperately try to shovel dirt into this infinite void, using blind consumerism, superficial entertainment, and the endless numbing dopamine hits of social media. Yet beneath the noise, the hollow echo of our own insignificance roars on. In this chaotic collapse, to keep from drowning, we desperately need spaces to rebuild our minds and our very beings. This is exactly why sanctuaries like horses, land exist, a bastion of knowledge, a resting place to forge your psychological armor before you step out into the barren desert of self-realization. It was precisely on the precipice of this horrific void that one of the greatest and most tragically misunderstood voices in human history echoed through time: Friedrich Nietzsche, when he penned the immortal words, "God is dead, and we have killed him." It was never the arrogant, triumphant cheer of a cynical atheist. I feel a chill every time I read it, because it is the agonized, blood-curdling scream of a prophet. Through his parable of the madman running with a lit lantern in the broad daylight, Nietzsche was weeping for humanity. He saw that by unchaining the earth from its sun, by letting the Enlightenment and scientific rationalism slaughter our faith in the divine, we had simultaneously ripped down the entire moral infrastructure that had cradled Western civilization for 2 millennia. Nietzsche did not celebrate this death. He trembled before the apocalyptic aftermath. He foresaw a bleak century drowning in the blood of secular ideologies, desperately trying to sit on an empty throne. With the spiritual sky now vacant, he knew we face only 2 destinies: to surrender to the void and become the pitiful last man who seeks only numb comfort, or to become gods ourselves and forge entirely new constellations of meaning. Nietzsche knew that in the face of this terrifying cosmic emptiness, the easiest and most tragic choice for humanity would be a cowardly retreat into a sterilized, painless mediocrity. He called this wretched creature the last man, a being so terrified of the abyss that they willingly trade the entirety of their human potential for the illusion of safety and comfort. When I look out at the landscape of our modern existence, I do not see a society of enlightened innovators. I see Nietzsche's nightmare manifested with chilling accuracy. We have designed a world dedicated entirely to the eradication of struggle. We drug our sadness, we outsource our thinking to algorithms, and we construct endless digital echo chambers so we never have to encounter a thought that might challenge our fragile peace of mind. The last man does not dream of greatness, nor do they reach for the stars. They only blink their tired eyes and ask, what is love, what is creation, what is a star, before returning to their screens. This existence is not peace, it is a spiritual anesthesia. It is the deliberate shrinking of the human soul to avoid the pain of growth. We are suffocating under the weight of our own convenience, terrified of taking a single step into the unknown. The last man looks at the shattered ice of absolute truth, and instead of learning to swim in the freezing waters, decides to sit on the shrinking shard and pretend the ocean does not exist. We chase trivial pursuits, the accumulation of wealth, the pursuit of fleeting statuses, the desperate collection of virtual approvals, because looking into the void requires a courage we have forgotten how to summon. To realize that you are becoming the last man is an agonizing awakening. It is the stomach-dropping recognition that you are trading the fierce, burning symphony of a truly lived life for a quiet, comfortable corner in a graveyard. We are allowing ourselves to rot from the inside out, smiling numbly as we decorate the soft, padded walls of our own spiritual tombs. Yet to merely diagnose this rot is not enough. We must find the primal antidote that still pulses beneath the surface of our collective lethargy. The cure to the paralysis of nihilism and the sickness of the last man is what Nietzsche identified as the fundamental driving force of all life, the will to power. For over a century, this concept has been brutally dragged through the mud, twisted by tyrants, and misunderstood by scholars as a call for political domination or the brutal subjugation of the weak. But when I read Nietzsche, I do not hear the marching boots of an empire. I hear the desperate, beautiful struggle of an artist staring at a blank canvas. The will to power is not about conquering your neighbor. It is the ferocious, unyielding drive to conquer yourself. It is the psychological imperative to overcome your own limitations, your own fears, and your own inherent meaninglessness. Imagine the universe as a vast, dark, and utterly indifferent block of unhewn marble. The will to power is the chisel in your trembling hand. The void does not care if you exist. It offers no guidance, no inherent morality, and no ultimate reward. But instead of letting this paralyze you, the will to power commands you to strike the marble. It is the radical assertion that even in a universe devoid of objective truth, you have the capacity and the responsibility to manifest your own meaning. It is the refusal to merely survive. When you push through the agony of a failing relationship, when you sacrifice your comfort to master a craft, when you look your deepest traumas in the eye and refuse to let them dictate your future, you are exercising this divine inner fire. You are violently rebelling against the decay of the last man. Suffering in this light transforms from a meaningless cruelty inflicted upon us by a blind universe into the very crucible of our becoming. We do not seek to escape pain. We harness it, we mold it, and we use it as the fuel to forge a self that stands as a defiant, magnificent testament to our untamed spirit. If we truly commit to wielding this inner fire and embracing our agony, we must eventually confront the ultimate psychological crucible. Imagine for a moment that a demon were to creep into your loneliest loneliness and whisper a terrible secret into your ear. This demon tells you that the life you are living right now, every single breath, every unspoken regret, every shattering heartbreak, and every fleeting moment of ecstasy will be repeated, not just once, but an infinite number of times exactly as it is, with no alterations for all of eternity. Every pain you have tried to bury, every mistake that haunts you at 3 in the morning will return like an endlessly revolving hourglass. This is Nietzsche's concept of the eternal return, and it is the heaviest psychological burden ever conceived by the human mind. When I first internalized this thought experiment, I felt physically ill. My instinct was to scream, to reject it, to curse the demon and the universe that would dare trap me in an inescapable loop of my own flaws and tragedies. Most of us cannot even bear to look at our pasts without a profound sense of regret, let alone wish to experience them repeatedly forever. But this is precisely the gauntlet Nietzsche throws at our feet. To overcome nihilism, we cannot merely tolerate our existence, we must radically and fiercely affirm it. We must achieve Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. Amor Fati is not passive acceptance. It is not shrugging your shoulders and saying, "It is what it is." It is looking at the darkest, most agonizing chapters of your life, looking at the betrayals, the failures, the grief that tore your world apart, and screaming, "Yes, I want it again." It is the realization that to erase a single moment of your pain is to erase the very architecture of the person you have become. By loving your fate, you strip the universe of its power to break you. You transform the suffocating weight of eternity into a brilliant, empowering liberation fueled by a fiercely burning love for everything that is, was, and ever will be. Only by looking into the terrifying eyes of eternity and shouting a triumphant "yes" can we finally step across the abyss and begin the true work of human evolution. We are not the final destination. Humanity as we know it is nothing but a fragile, swaying rope stretched out over a terrifying abyss, suspended between the untamed beast of our past and the glorious, terrifying potential of our future. This future is the Übermensch, the overman. The Übermensch is not a biological evolution nor a science fiction fantasy. It is the ultimate psychological horizon, when all the gods have died, when the ancient temples have crumbled to dust, and when the comforting illusions of objective truth have evaporated into the cold cosmic night. The Ubermensch is the one who does not despair. They step into the vacant sky and assume the throne of creation themselves. To walk the path of the Ubermensch is to accept the absolute terrifying freedom of the void. It means you can no longer point to an ancient text, a societal norm, or a philosophical dogma to justify your actions or your worth. You are completely alone, but in that profound isolation lies the ultimate power to write your own sacred texts. The Ubermensch looks into the silent universe and laughs not out of cynicism, but out of the sheer overflowing joy of creation. They forge their own virtues, they define their own morality, and they become their own judge and executioner. I believe that every time we refuse the numbing comfort of the modern world, every time we choose the painful ascent of self-mastery over the easy descent into apathy, we are taking a step on that tightrope. We will stumble, we will bleed, we will suffer the dizzying vertigo of absolute freedom, but we must keep walking. The abyss is real, and the ice is gone forever. We can either drown in the dark, silent waters of meaninglessness, or we can become the blazing, roaring fires that light up the void. The tragedy of our era is not that the old gods are dead. It is that we are too terrified to realize we were meant to take their place. Nietzsche's philosophy is not a manifesto of despair, but a radical, roaring call to ultimate spiritual emancipation. We stand at the precipice of a profound historical crossroads where the comforting illusions of the past have shattered, leaving behind a terrifying, silent void. We face a distinct choice. We can either succumb to the numb, sterilized existence of the last man, sedating our existential dread with endless distractions and superficial comforts, or we can boldly claim our birthright as creators. By harnessing our inherent will to power, we transform the suffering and chaos of existence into the very fuel needed for self-mastery. This transformation demands the crushing yet liberating courage of Amor Fati, the radical acceptance and love of our fate, embracing every agony and ecstasy as if we were to live it eternally without regret. Ultimately, Nietzsche challenges us to walk the perilous tightrope over the abyss toward the Übermensch. It is a supreme psychological undertaking where we strip away all external dogmas and dare to forge our own meaning, morality, and purpose from within. The cosmic silence we so deeply fear is in truth an infinite blank canvas. We are no longer children waiting for guidance from the heavens. We are the artists, the architects, and the blazing fires meant to illuminate the darkness. The void is not our tomb, it is the birthplace of our greatest, most defiant selves. The profound lesson, true meaning and liberation are never found in the absence of struggle, but in the absolute responsibility of forging your own purpose from within the chaos. Suffering and hardship are not cosmic punishments. They are the raw materials required for your psychological and spiritual evolution. To be truly free, you must stop outsourcing your happiness to the world and start generating your own inner fire. How to apply this to modern life? Reject the anesthesia. Identify the ways you numb yourself. Mindless scrolling, seeking constant virtual validation, or avoiding difficult tasks. Deliberately unplug from these modern comforts for a set time each day to sit with your own thoughts, no matter how uncomfortable they may be. Harness your resistance. When faced with a setback, stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, ask, "How can I use this to become stronger?" Let your pain be the chisel that sculpts your character. Practice Amor Fati. Look at a past regret or a current hardship and consciously choose to accept it. Acknowledge that without that specific pain, you would not possess the strength you have today. Choose to love the entirety of your journey. We would love to hear your perspective on this simple question. What is one comfort or daily distraction you are willing to give up today to step out of your comfort zone and build a stronger version of yourself? Please politely share your thoughts in the comments below, so we can all exchange ideas and draw inspiration from one another. If you found value in this message, please subscribe to the channel. Your support is our greatest motivation to continue creating deep, thought-provoking content for you in the future.